I got the lid off of the 3520. Remember that big crack I showed you? Today, me and my neighbor Chris are gonna fix it. As soon as he gets here, we'll get started.
This top is made of fiberglass, and fiberglass is a resin that suspends fibers.
Yeah.
And in that, what's happened here is somebody's put an extreme amount of pressure on the outside edge, as you've indicated by this line. You can say they got up and rubbed it. What they did is they went past the strength of this fiberglass and they sheared it.
Yeah.
By breaking it, they've now broken these fibers apart. It can't lay flat anymore.
Right.
And what we're going to have to do is some pressure release.
Okay.
So we're going to come in, we're going to notch this out.
Okay.
So that we can get that pressure and let this fall back into its proper form this way. We will find out where the end of the pressure crack is here. We're going to drill a hole to put a pressure release, so in the future, there will not, this crack won't continue. Just like on a windshield, you want to contain it.
Okay, let's do that much, and then we'll see what it looks like.
Sounds good.
The reason I wear a mask is because of fiberglass can irritate some people's lungs.
Okay, it really does bother you.
It really does bother a lot of people.
Yeah, so you're getting a little wider here.
Yeah, intentionally because it's broken out.
Okay, so it started to feather out because strands separated. It's time to, okay.
Now I'll switch to a slightly different head because I now need to rough up the area around it. I'm going to hand block this because while I'm going to cover part of this, I don't want to lose my profile too much.
Okay.
So I'm trying to maintain it. So anything you take out in the profile, you have to put back.
Mm-hmm.
So while it's great using instruments for that, it's too fast. You're better off taking a little bit of time with your hand and just do it enough to rough it up.
So you're trying to rough it up so you can get the next layer to stick.
There you go. And take just a little bit of material off so I can put material on it.
Okay. Okay, so you're ready to turn it over now then?
Yeah, we are. We've kind of got this prepped. It looks pretty good. We'll see what the backside looks like. So in the wonderful world of a little hairline crack, this gives you an idea of the amount of area that's actually been affected. As you can see, well, maybe you can see, inside here you can still see where it's broken out. It's still got loose fibers where we've dislodged it from the original solution. And it does crack all the way to this point here, which you were right. The crack stopped because it came into a reinforced section.
That's a high-tech approach there you're using to line those up.
I am. Only the best for you, man.
Yeah. So what is that? That's a paint stirrer or something, isn't it?
Paint stick.
Yeah.
Just a paint stick. There is not a lot of pressure on this, but I'm just trying to get it where I can put a little bit of pressure so I have less alignment issues in the future. What's going to happen now is we're going to actually be building up the backside. The outside has to follow the very specific contour of the roof so it looks right, doesn't have a bump on it or something. But we're going to be able to give this some extra strength on the backside. If we had had a major hole that we were trying to bridge, we could have used this, which is a metal grid. Yeah. It's self-adhesive, it would stick in place, and you will cover it with a fiber reinforced epoxy. Yeah. But in this case, we're going to just fill it. Now, to keep from having a whole bunch run out, I am going to put something on the back side of it so that I'm not having it go out the front, because we will be actually applying some to the front when we're done. So
this is just real duct tape, right? I mean, not duct tape, but
yeah, as in
what we actually use on ducks.
Ductwork tape. It adheres easily, it'll come off easily, and it will hold all the things we want.
Now it looks like it'll leave a hump on the other side, but that's okay. We're gonna.
It is. We're gonna come back and grind. Anytime you put any kind of adhesive on, you're gonna have to do a little sanding to make sure you don't leave any adhesive anyway. So now we'll get out what we're gonna be using. We're gonna be using a fiber fiberglass reinforced jelly resin. It's kind of like if people in the automotive world, it's Bondo with fiberglass in it. The difference is it has structural capabilities and it's 100% waterproof. Bondo will absorb water, this will not. So this is very much in line with the original composition of this roof.
Okay.
And it's a two-part epoxy, so you basically take out what you need, mix it with a hardener. In a fairly short period of time, it will warm up significantly and it'll cure, so we can work it fairly quickly.
I think we'll give her a new name. We'll call her Bondo Bo.
There you go. Yeah, Bondo Bo would not like this if he put his fingers in it. A lot of times, if this has been sitting on a shelf a while, some of the resin will end up at the top. As you can kind of see in here, it looks like a black fluid. Yeah. Just like paint. This is similar to like what you have with paint. It will settle, and you need to mix that in. You need to stir it up. And
well, I think you're done. You need to be down somewhere else for now, okay?
Get it kind of back mixed into it.
Now, is this hard to get off of your hands and stuff if you get it on there?
It will harden, it'll crack off. It's not the same as if you're using true fiberglass resin. Good luck. It really does adhere well to your hands.
Now, I said Bo had to go down. Look at this.
Yeah, I can see that he's kind of reminds me of my grandchildren. I don't think he listens real well. And look, it's even a green. You know,
maybe.
It's not quite the right color green. You can buy this at like NAPA. You can buy it actually a lot of places, but I know NAPA carries it because they used to do a lot of automotive stuff. Any place that sells automotive refinishing, PPG, automotive will have things like this. So they'll carry a full line, including the primers, the sanding paper, clears, the color match. If you can take in a coat off your car, they can give you the paint you need. If you have the capability to do it, you're good to go. So here's where you always say, well, how much do I need? So it's very scientific.
That much?
Yeah, because whatever's left you don't use. The hardener is just like the other stuff. Be honest with you, if it's sat for a while, take a minute and mix it up. Otherwise, what will happen is you'll end up with a lot of kind of a clear solution at first. And it's not going to do a whole lot for you. And once you get a little bit out of it, then remix it again where you can actually do it a little bit better. The more you put in, the faster it hardens up. And guess what? If it's 85 degrees out, this stuff comes on really quick. So you'll find yourself getting it mixed really well just about the time that it sets up. But when it's cooler, it gives you a little more time. And the big thing here is you really have to mix it in. You'll see where people don't do that, and they end up with air bubbles and pockets where the material does not set up. And as you mix it, you can kind of see the lines. The thing that you have to do is make sure you always wipe your squeegee off, because it will have a bunch on it that has no resin in it. So you need to get it out, get it off of there, and get it mixed into.
So it's a mixture of resin and fiberglass?
Yes, and a suspension agent, so yeah, being the thing. So this, and they have some different versions of this, which will have a lot of fiber in it. I mean, you can physically see strands of fiber. One of the things when you use something like this, you typically have to put a top coat on it, Bondo, because it'll have too much of a rough surface to it. And we will end up doing that here when all is said and done. So we're working on the inside. It's going to be kind of interesting. What I'm going to want to do is first, what I do is you'll see me squeeze it all the way in and back out kind of. And that's by making sure that I don't have any voids or air pockets. So once I know I've accomplished that, I'll start to put some additional layers on. And because it's on the inside, we're given that ability to really put a nice kind of heavy coating on it to know that we're giving it some additional strength.
Kind of glad Christy's not here. She would be complaining about the smell.
It does have, yeah.
She's very sensitive to this kind of smell.
Right now, this is pretty cool in here. So you could easily, in the summertime, this would have already set up on you.
We're at about 60 degrees in here today. Okay, so you wanted it nice and smooth, and the reason you went over it multiple times was to make sure you had air bubbles out. And you don't care if it's a little thick because we're on the inside. And we'll smooth it off a little bit. with sandpaper later.
Yeah, if we needed it for clearance, we would. We can sand, anything you put on, you can take off.
It looks like right up at the top there around that lip, we will need some of that taken
I'll end up
off.
sanding this off, profiling it, and I know that. But I'm willing to do that because I want to have plenty of material there, and depending on how tight this fits, which it fits probably pretty tight, we'll have to make it pretty close to what it was originally.
Remember, that's where the AC system, there's a seal that I need to either buy or make to go around here because it all kind of came apart when I took the lid off.
What I'm doing here, because at some point we're going to have some Bondo, and I'm going to let this harden up, and we'll do a piece of Bondo just like this. I'm going to show you how easily you can break it compared to this.
Okay.
So this will be a test piece for the future.
Yeah, Chris, while we're waiting on that to dry, why don't we work on this? I got a new door seal here, right? This one had, I don't know, you've got it kind of tucked up in there, but
it's been repaired before.
yeah, and the way it's been has been rolled out like that. Yeah. And I guess I just thought maybe a new door seal would be better. Now, it wasn't cheap. It was like $90. I put a link in the description. Nobody else probably wants a door seal. But anyway, I don't know whether we should just take this off and see if we could get all this gunk off of here.
Yeah, I think we'll scrape it down.
Notice this is where it starts and ends, right here at this top hinge.
Yeah. And it looks like you can tuck in behind this hinge, okay, by the nail. Were these all special order parts?
You know, I just get them at greenpartsstore.com.
Okay.
Right, and it took a day or so to get here, and the free shipping with code
TTWT.
Good job. It's easy to find the parts, right? Because you can go to partscatalog.deere.com, put in your model number, or even better yet, your serial number, and that'll get you the exact one. Full parts breakdown of what's going on. Sometimes it even helps you when you want to put stuff back together or take it apart. It's like, how does it come apart?
The one thing you said for sure is they have a phenomenal amount of parts, where sometimes you're, depending on whose product it is, you may be struggling to get parts.
Yeah, not only do they have a lot of parts, you know where they are. Like you can call them up, or if you chat at greenpartsstore.com, they can say, well, there's 7 of those in the USA. The closest one's in Denver.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody has been ingenious and tried.
Yeah, that looks like caulking.
It is caulking, but not necessarily made for holding anything. We'll work both sides of it here in a second.
And the bottom, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that hinge has got quite a bit of play in it.
Maybe I need a little bit different hinge mechanism, the nail, maybe a larger nail. Yeah, does that look like it's wallered out, or does it,
No, I don't think it's wallered out. I don't.
Just needs a bigger bolt.
It does. Put it back in so you don't have to stand there.
Yeah, and I think the top one may be the same way. It's too small too.
It is.
Now, we found that an M6 by 75 is going to do the trick, which is included in my heavy hitch bolt collection. Having the bolt collection has really saved us here.
We didn't have to go anywhere today.
We could put it in from the bottom, and we'll put a lock nut on it.
Yeah. I don't know if it'll be any better.
I don't think you're going to be able to put it in from the top.
Well, no, I could put it fit. I just would need to tap it.
Yeah, well, I'm fine with you tapping. If you break the door, it's you.
I would say if we break the door, Christy did it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But we've lost all of the give. It's not giving at all now, and yet it works fine.
So this is literally starts right here.
Yeah, so we probably need to be on the inside with the bulk of it. Right up there as far as we can go.
And it sits behind this hinge. Yeah, I mean, it goes on. It's tight. What do you think?
Well, I'm impressed so far. It really just kind of hooks up on there.
It does. It's just get it in the groove and fall on it.
When it's finally seated, you can tell it. It feels good.
Nice and
it feels
solid.
Like it's solidly seated. I feel good about getting a new one. It's fitting a lot tighter than the old one, of course.
The old one didn't go behind that hinge. This one's going to.
Okay, so before we go in with it, let's bring it back in here. This one's going to be too long, as I sort of expected. Stop and estimate and cut or something.
I want it close, then we can mark it. We can pull it back up.
Now, I've just got plain old tin snips here.
Yeah, see if that works. Biggest problem is you can't just take a full bite all the way across.
Right.
But
once I've taken those 2 bites.
yeah, there's a piece of metal. I saw it.
That is much better, Chris.
Yeah. I think you get nice tight hinges, a new seal. The original seal didn't even had a gap.
I was getting some dust somewhere around here, so I mean, it's no question. I thought it was coming under here, but I think some of it may have been coming.
You had these two loose hinges, which meant this wasn't really holding tight.
So I think altogether, I think these bolts helped us a lot too.
They did.
M6 by 75, M6 by 80 would be a little bit better.
Yeah.
If I were buying them, I would buy stainless. These are not stainless.
Very nice.
Okay, let's take a look at our
Rear seal.
fiberglass.
Oh,
So how long were we on this? 15, 20 minutes?
yeah, something like that. And I said the weather, and it should be like a rock. And in fact, test
What
piece.
do you have that? That's a test piece you left on there?
Yeah, I did.
I don't think you're going to be able to take it off.
Well, it'll come with the
It'll come
paper.
off with the cardboard.
Yeah.
That's
right.
unbelievable.
Yeah, but even it,
Uh-oh.
you can do
I
that.
thought that was going to be. Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
It looks just like fiberglass
It
breaking
does.
up.
So now we're going to leave that just the way it is. And we're going to flip this over, take off the tape, do a little sand, and I'm going to put my first skim coat on that
the other
outside.
side. Okay.
So this was just backing. And you can see it kind of filled, but we're going to rough this up and we're going to do a little more fill here. We should no longer need this. Only thing is this stick will be a little stuck like that.
Makes sense. So you've got part of it's only about half done and part of it's
Right.
2x done, too
Right.
thick.
And I'm going to come back and I'm going to sand all this to rough it up for the skim coat I put in, but the alignment's pretty close. Okay. So we're not going to have to do a whole lot of shifting. So if there was a big difference, this is off, then I'd have to fill a large amount of this to make it even with this.
Okay. So you're going to hand sand this right here with your
I
little
am.
sanding block.
Yep.
Okay.
Again, I'm using something really pretty rough. This is 40 grit. And you can kind of see where it filled in. You know, I've got a step here I'm going to work on right there.
Yeah. And then a hump out
But-
there. But
It just kind of disappears and looks like the rest of it. Now, before we fill this one, we should have drilled that. But be honest, it's right here. We can put our drill mark right here. You can see where it ends. And we don't have to go very deep. We just have to go the thickness of the lid. Because we're just stopping that crack from ever extending any farther. Whenever you have fiberglass or you have a crack, just like we talked earlier about the windshield, we want to find where it really ended. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a drill and we're going to produce a stress relief here. So it can't continue on because we're then going to fill this with this fiberglass. And that will basically then contain this and it will not be able to extend any farther. That's all we takes.
it's dry now.
Yep.
So you put on a less aggressive sandpaper, right?
For right now, no, we're still going to cut this out because I believe I have a little bit of a low spot.
Okay.
So I want to cut this away fairly fast. I still want to put fairly heavy scratches in it because if I put a skim coat on it, I need that to be a good bonding area.
Okay.
And we knew we had a little bit of a low spot,
Yep, you can
which is
actually
showing
see it
up.
now, yeah.
Yeah, it's showing up as we go. But as we get along, it'll smooth up. And what you kind of see is as I sand it, you'll see me where I just feather it out. I just kind of look at where I'm at. I want to cut back in just below the surface. And it is getting to be a much bigger spot as we go. And that's how it works. The mistake people make is they try to localize it and they end up with a teeny tiny little bump. At the end, you can see exactly where you did your work. It's all about blending it in.
It was all wrinkled up inside. I just didn't think it was working very well, so I got another seal for this one. I thought maybe we could work on that again while it's drying.
That's fine.
Now in this case, it's not even attached to the window.
There's a drain pipe that's routed into it. Almost looks like it was built into it.
Yeah, it's the AC drain tubes.
Started pulling.
That just came apart. My side did.
They've also got this extra little line here That's for your water line.
Oh, that's
The
the windshield
washer.
washer. So that's on your side only. They had this headed down in the,
Oh, right where you don't want it.
right where I don't want the water.
Very good. No extra charge. Wow. Hold on. Let me get out behind this wire.
Quietest wet dry vac you've ever heard. Sorry, I forgot to press the record button while we were putting this thing in all the way around here. It was not trivial, was it?
No, it's got some challenges. The corners are a very tight radius.
Yeah.
And so as you come up to those corners, you have to make sure you give yourself plenty of room, and you actually have to push the adjacent piece up. So as you tap it in, it doesn't leave it short.
Yep. And the air conditioner drain hose is integrated into this. So we've still got one piece to do. We've got to cut the air conditioner drain hose and hook it up to the back sides up there. I find it interesting that it's integrated.
And so somewhere about here,
It's got a little kink in it. I don't know if it's absurd or not. I think mine's okay.
Yours is good. You know my favorite name for this, but I won't say it.
Rudolph, I don't understand though.
Yeah. It was a Christmas gift.
Yeah, for who?
Well, whoever wanted to buy it when we're all done. I've been thinking about a little bit of red paint for his nose on that emblem.
Yeah, well, you saw the brand new emblem I put on.
I did.
We
It doesn't
should
have a
just-
red nose, but it could.
It could, yeah.
It could.
Okay, so more 40 grit now. Well, that's a lot of progress for one day.
Yep. It's
Hey,
looking good.
We say one day. Hey, we had to stop and have a cheeseburger.
Well, this is bacon cheeseburger to be exact. But
I
yes,
had steak. I offered to buy him steak for all the work he's doing for me.
he did, but I still had a bacon cheeseburger and enjoyed it.
Bacon cheeseburger, guy after my own heart. I think one of the summaries here is, even though we're not done yet, but one of the summaries is, yeah, this can be done. Sure. And no single step of it is that difficult. But overall, this project's going to be big.
It takes time, cutting it out, filling it, refilling it, putting the support filling on the back side,
Yeah.
priming, blocking, sanding, prepping for final paint.
Okay, so yeah, we've got next time we're going to start with the paint. Hey, this is where you have the phone a friend option. We've got a friend with a paint booth. That's where we're going to meet up with you next episode. Well, whichever next episode we start working on this again. I'm excited about this. This is functional. We could put this on Johnny and go right now.
You could use just regular primer, leave some scratches and shoot some paint on it, but I think we're looking for a little higher quality than that for Rudolph.
You think Rudolph deserves more.
I do.
Hope you guys have enjoyed this. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim. God, you have rejected us. You have broken us. You have been angry. Restore us. You have made the land quake. You have split it open. Heal its cracks, for it sways. Rudolph.
Hey, my uncle's an artist. I could have him calligraphy that on there for you.
Yeah, well, maybe so.
Maybe so. What you doing? Oh, putting your hand in the...
Yeah, I'm trying to do the timing just right.
I gotta say, all right. I'm not explaining to Christy how I gave you 3 stitches.